Okay, this is my fourth attempt at a review of Catching Fire, which is the second book in the Hunger Games trilogy, and you can find my review on the eponymous book, The Hunger Games, on my channel, so please go and check that out before you listen to this one, because you can contrast whatever, because my viewpoints on certain characters, whatever has changed. So I really like this book. On Goodreads, I give it a 4 out of 5. The first book, I gave it a 5 out of 5. The reason I gave this one was a 4 out of 5 was while I really, 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 really liked it, I didn't think it was amazing because I think there were some pacing issues. I think it's only like when you get to like what, page 200 or something like that you actually get into the actual games. So the first 200 pages is building the sort of like political situation and giving this like picture that Katniss is really screwed. And one of the things that made me kind of like, now I think of it, Katniss has always said that President Snow is out to get her for kind of define the Capitol, and you can see it's very obvious with the way that the whole policemen of District 12 are kind of replaced. The whole thing with the Jab Jays emulating her parents' and her family's screams, cutting off the access to the meadow where she hunts, whipping Gale, all this horrible stuff that happens. Like Peter also defied the Hunger Games, so why isn't he like facing any backlashes? It doesn't seem like he was really up against anything. He wasn't really feeling the repercussions of it, and I don't know. Like, I want to know if President Snow actually went to Peter and said, you know what, I don't buy this game that you're playing. So yeah, I thought the focus was a bit too much on Katniss. I understand that it's first person President's point of view, which I think in the review of the first book, I forgot to mention how much I love this point of view for this series, because this series is so much about, you know, survival and like things happening all around you. You just feel like you're right there, right then. It really works very perfectly. So I understand that while this book is still in that kind of point of view, I would have liked to know just why Peter wasn't kind of getting like the amount of flack that Katniss was getting, unless, I don't know. I don't think President Snow would have kind of let Peter go under the radar as much as he seemed to do. It was kind of weird. So yeah, so most of this book is, the first bit is this whole political tension. Katniss realizes during the victory tour, after the victory tour, that there's a rebellion going on. She's like, holy shit, I think that she realized that while she wanted to express her distaste for the Hunger Games, she really did not like the Capitol. I mean, she hates them, understandably so, because they're just cruel people. I don't think she meant to incite a rebellion. I just think she wanted to show them how much she really did not care for them. But obviously now she's dealing with the consequences of it, and she's kind of becoming like public enemy number one. So you have what she's kind of considering, kind of with her family, Gale, Peter, Haymitch, running away from District 12 and living in the woods, whatever. And then you have this whole subplot with District 13, which I accidentally spoiled myself on the whole District 13 thing. So it wasn't that much of a surprise, but it was still interesting. But now I think of it, it is kind of predictable, but whatever. So she found, was it Twill and Bonnie from District 8, which is textiles, I think. And they were like, yeah, we escaped. I wonder what happened to those two, because Katniss was, the electric wire fence was kind of put back on, so Katniss wasn't able to get back to them. And of course then she was in the Hunger Games for the second time, and then she was taken away by, what do you call it, the holograph thing, sorry. So, yeah. I had a couple of problems with this book. One is kind of the characterization as Katniss. In the first book, I really liked her because I thought she was very grown up. I thought she was a very mature, smart character. for a 16-year-old girl. It doesn't really seem that far-fetched, but when you look at it, I think the writer focuses too much, the author focuses too much on keeping Katniss morally pure, which is a bit unrealistic considering she lives in a dog-eat-dog world. I mean, while she does have a set of morals before the Hunger Games, saying, you know what, I do care about people, I think in the world that they live in, the way they've kind of been conditioned by the capital per se, I thought they'd be a bit crueler, because most of the people seem to be much crueler, unless it's just District 12, which seems to be like perfect, morally, intact district, and I refuse to believe that. But in the first book, even though Katniss did do well, Katniss did kind of survive, like fight her own survival, she never really killed anybody, and it never really crossed her mind to kind of like go out and actively destroy people. Like, okay, yeah, she went out, she destroyed the food source, but it was to avoid a way of, I think, having that sort of like murder on your hands, and I thought that was kind of unrealistic in the world that they lived in. And considering her promise to Prim that she would win it and everything like that, and knowing she had so much at stake back home, I just thought that the whole like, oh, I'm not going to kill anyone, it's all murder, blah blah, was a bit weird. While I do understand it is relatable, I just thought it could have been handled a bit better. And then, of course, when in this book they kind of said, yeah, you're the face of the rebellion that's happening, it's because of you all this stuff is happening. And while that's great and everything, it just seems a bit, to me, it's a bit Mary Sue-ish. And I really don't think of Katniss as a Mary Sue, because she is stubborn, she's a bit of a bitch, she is, she is hot-headed, she does have a quick temper, and I don't think it ever really says, oh, I'm the one who's constantly in the right, because there are examples when Peter has turned around and said, no, Candice, this is the way it is, and then when Haymitch and then Joanna and Finnick and whatnot turn around saying, no, this is how it's got to be, blah, 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 even with BT. I kind of feel that they kind of made her a special snowflake with this whole rebellion thing. That they pinned it all on her, and it's like, I really think that they could have put it, like, I understand that she's the kind of poster girl for it, but I think she's only physically the poster girl. I think she'd, like Haymitch said, like, she doesn't have the brains to lead the rebellion. And of course she didn't know she was the face of rebellion, she was kind of incited into it, and she was angry at that. But I just think that in the next book it's going to give her a bit of an ego complex, and that's really going to irritate me, because it's going to take away the essence of, okay, yeah, while it is character growth, she started out as a simple character who had to survive because her dad died, and yeah, okay, while she did have this sort of moral status as being on a higher pedestal than the people, she was relatable for the most part. And then in this one, she kind of became less, I think less relatable, because obviously in that world, in our world, we don't have the Hunger Games, we don't send off our children, our friends, our family to go get killed every year. And we don't have that kind of ingrained hardness to such a literal sense. So while Katniss is kind of growing to kind of be a part of that world in which she lives, which is controlled by the capital, which destroyed District 13, which makes the lives of all the other districts pretty much hell, the further away you get from the capital, and especially Katniss herself, I just thought that she was becoming more of a woman, more aware, but she kind of was, I think she kind of, I think she, in this book, she kind of became disenfranchised from her kind of grassroots, which isn't a bad thing. It's interesting to see the story develop, and it's good to see, it's exciting to see the way the capital is kind of getting screwed over and everything like that. But I don't want to go into Mockingjay, because I devoured the first two books. I don't want to go into Mockingjay and completely end up hating Katniss. I mean, I have my problems with Peter enough as it is. I just think he's a boring character. I don't give a crap about him. but to have Katniss kind of focus her whole attention on him the way that it kind of was in this book, it's going to make me get irritated with her, and I really don't want to be, because I think she's a good example of a strong female character for the most part. Um, so yeah, the Hunger Games in this one actually felt like a Hunger Games light of last year's. I don't know what it was. Obviously, there were like kind of champions from each of the 12 districts thrown in together, and that was really interesting to see. I just thought that it wasn't as action packed. Obviously, it was much shorter. It was like 3 days because the whole rebellion thing came along. Plutarch Heavensby, one of my favourite characters in the book, busted them out and everything. But I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, so the Hunger Games in this book just kind of felt a bit lighter, not as action packed, whatever. I think some of the character deaths were typical. For example, with Mags, I knew Mags would die. Definitely knew Mags would die. Because she was old and she was kind of a hindrance to the party. I was sad to see her die because, she was sweet, whatever. She was Finnick's mentor. But, yeah, I was just kind of disappointed to see that she was just kind of easily disposed, even though it was for the rebellion. But she had good sense to, well, not good sense, I don't think she was disposable, because no human life is disposable, I don't think. But she kind of understood that it would be the best thing, and she kind of was very brave, and she killed herself so the others could live, sort of thing. So yeah, the arena this time was very interesting. I liked the clock element, that was really cool. Things like with BT saying to Katniss at the training centre, oh look, there's a force field, there's a weak point there. He kind of purposely mentions that, and then she starts to realise, and she sort of pieces things together. So obviously, while you're in the dark a lot of the time about like, oh, why are they trying to save Peter? I'm sorry, there's like an ambulance. Like, why are they trying to save Peter? Why are they like teaming up together? This, that, and the other. What is going on? It all works together, and it kind of comes out at the end. Even though I think the whole plot twist with Plutarch Heavensby being a part of the rebellion, I thought that was very obvious as soon as Katniss mentioned, the Mockingjay thing on his watch. Why was it there? Surely he's just an Eve guy. He was just trying to rub it in. I think if Suzanne Collins had neglected to mention that whole thing, if she just left it as mentioning that there was a flash of a Mockingjay symbol on his watch, then the kind of plot twist at the end would have been much more impressive, and it would have been like, oh, amazing. So yeah, my favourite district, probably District 7. I don't know what it is about lumber. I love lumber. I love the word lumber. I love trees. I don't know, it was cool. Joanna was cool. I really liked BT. I love his name. He reminds me of that Pokemon from the 5th generation, Behium or something like that. I don't know. So whenever he was on like screen, I just kept on page. I just kept imagining him as a Pokemon, whatever. So yeah, it was a very good executed plot. I think could have been better. It was a bit basic, but it was good. It was riveting. And then of course Peter's trapped by the Capitol, and District 12 has been completely obliterated, and I wasn't expecting that. I was like, holy crap. I think I read it before, but I just forgot it, and I was like, holy crap, what the hell, OMG, amazing. And obviously they're going to District 13, so I really can't wait in this next book. I know that Mockingjay is going to all be about the rebellion and maybe overthrowing the Capitol. Honestly, I really want Peter to die, because I just think it would be good for the series if he died. I think it would throw out all the predictable elements, and yeah, I really like Finnick. I thought he was a good character, but I'm not fangirling over him as much as like everyone on the planet is. I just thought he's a good character, but I think there were better characters in this book, such as Varys and BT, and of course Joanna. So yeah, I hope that Katniss screws up the Capitol. I hope Peter just gets out, and I hope Gale recovers. So yeah, thanks for listening.